The Mystara project is proud to present part 10 of the Creatures of Mystara series. In this video, we will be taking a look at the Aquatic Elves, also known as Sea Elves, and the Aquarendi. Aquatic Elves were introduced on page 35 of AC9, Creature Catalogue, published in 1986. Aquatic elves resemble their land-based cousins in most respects. Key physical differences are their neck gills to breathe underwater, webbing between fingers and toes, small fins on their ankles, and skin and hair coloration. Skin tone ranges from light tan in regions near land-based elves, to bright blue or green in more remote areas. Hair color is usually green or blue, with brown and black being unusual. A wide range of hairstyles are admired by the elves, which they sometimes change intraday. Eye color is green or blue. The origin of Mystara's aquatic elves dates prior to recorded history. It is believed they originated in the sea, perhaps created by the sea immortal Proteus, known to the aquatic elves as the Old Elf of the Sea, or Manwara. The aquatic elves, or aquarendi as they called themselves, discovered many new species in the oceans created by the immortals. From them they learnt about the immortals' struggles between their different spheres. The aquarendi recorded this time of upheavals and the immortals' truce in the Kelestoi, a collection of what is now hundreds of books recording their complete history. Sometime between BC 5000 and BC 3501, the aquarendi left the far-end ocean and started living on land with the wood elves on the continent of Evergreen, southwest of Devania. In BC 3100, the aquarendi had become concerned at the impact of Blackmorian technology on the elves' way of life. Some of the aquarendi called out to the immortals of time to help them return to the ocean. The Old Elf of the Sea obliged, on the condition that they could never return to living on land again. With their water-breathing ability restored, the aquarendi departed with great sorrow and entered the warm seas. In BC 3000, the Great Rain of Fire destroyed Evergreen and Blackmore. The aquarendi cried out to the Old Elf of the Sea for protection, and it was granted in the form of a giant bubble of his breath. Thus the aquarendi survived this global catastrophe. When the ocean finally calmed, the aquarendi were released from the bubble into a now cold ocean and a changed world. They split up, following warmer currents northward. They started centuries of grief for their lost kin. The aquarendi and other sea peoples followed the warm currents until they reached tropical waters in an island archipelago near Devania, possibly the Thanagioth archipelago. The aquarendi grew and thrived in the tropical water until elemental upheavals caused them to move on. Volcanic eruptions frequently destroyed their homes and the tidal waves also created havoc. The sea peoples spread out all over the world to find new homes. Shortly before BC 2000, a group of aquarendi discovered the Mystara and Verdia elves in a forested land to the north. Overjoyed, the aquarendi migrated to live on the southeast Brune coast next to the Medyters. In BC 2000, another cataclysm sunk most of the land of the Medyters and Tamarans. Many aquarendi perished in the quakes, tidal waves and eruptions. They started referring to the sea as the Sea of Dread. The Dread Isles were formed, with the Medyters inhabiting the large eastern one. The aquarendi urged the Verdius to build ships and sail to the Medyters Isle. By the end of the 18th century BC, the Sea of Dread turmoil ended. The aquarendi founded settlements in reef and lagoon bottom caverns in the coastal waters of Alfile. After the Night of the Long Knives in AC 445, where Triton clerics and Triton mages fought each other suspecting lycanthropy, the aquarendi advised the Tritons that monarchs of Tiliureva should be dual-classed cleric mages, to stop the infighting. In AC 980, the aquarendi warned Tiliureva and their allies that the lycanthropes had returned. Most aquatic elves can be found in the coastal waters of Alfile. The largest community is located in the coral reef caverns of Erandel. Erandel contains dry upper caverns carved out of the coral where some sunlight comes through. They are called Farandel, meaning cavern of the sun. Here dry air tasks can be formed and goods stored. The Kelleralri is the sacred cavern of the Frond of Life and is forbidden to outsiders. The Frond of Life is similar to a tree of life, and is tended by a 10th level Frond keeper. The Frond can create magical shellpiece armor up to +5, and magical steel spears or tridents up to +5. The maximum amount of weapons or armor it can produce annually is +10 in aggregate. So, it could produce say 2 + 5 items or 10 + 1 weapons for example. The frond can also produce potions of water breathing for air-breathing guests or trade partners. 1 ounce of oil of sunlight can be extracted from the frond annually. This is used to light the ocean depths, or used up in crafting a ship of the deeps. A ship of the deeps takes a century to create. It can descend to the depths of the ocean with permanent clairaudience and clairvoyance to assist navigation and communication if another ship of the deep exists or an elf with a crystal ball. The aquarendi are followers of the old elf of the sea, who is seen as the guardian of time and the precursor of change. Under his guidance, the aquarendi survived the Great Rain of Fire. They also follow Talavai the Root Maker, who created the first frond of life by installing an avatar in it, sometime after BC 4500. Talavai is seen as the patroness of life, continuity and the sea's abundant bounty. She is known by the Mystara elves as Kalitha Starbrow. As Kalitha has multiple species of followers, and can only have 19 avatars, the number of fronds of life, and major aquarendi settlements, is limited. 800 aquatic elves live in the coastal waters around the Thyacian shipbuilding island of Actius, off the southeast coast of Hattiers. Perhaps they are comfortable dealing with these humans, as they predominantly follow the sea immortal, Proteus. Aquatic elves also inhabit the southern Alphatian coast, near the underwater city of Sea Shield. Some elves visit Sea Shield for business or out of curiosity. No other specific aquatic elf locations were given. It is possible that the sea kingdoms off the western coast of Devania, in the far end ocean, contain aquatic elves. Aquatic elves have a natural armor class of 7 due to their agility and skin toughness. Their typical armor class, as listed in the creature catalogue, is 5, which would indicate they are wearing layered shell armor. This armor consists of shells joined together by tough seaweed fronds. They never use shields, even on land. They are man-sized, and slightly shorter than land-based elves, ranging from 4'11" to 5'4". 4-hit dice, attack rolls, saving throws, and terrestrial movement, they are treated as normal elves, using levels. At 10th level they must choose between advancing in attack ranks or progressing in magic up to 20th level. Once this choice is made, it cannot be reversed. Their swimming speed is double terrestrial movement speed. Note their swimming encounter speed of 60 foot, appears to be an error, it should be 80 foot. They have a surprisingly strong punch attack, which deals 1 to 4 damage. Their weapon of choice is the trident, made of shell, coral or bone. Out of the water, this inferior material reduces attack and damage by 1. They also use spears. Indoors, up to 6 may be encountered. They swim in groups of 4 to 24 in bodies of water. Clans ranging from 20 to 120 members inhabit their aquatic cavern settlements. They have a high morale of 10. Individuals have treasure types S and T, consisting of a 100% chance of 2 to 8 GP, and 1 to 6 platinum pieces, possibly from sunken ships. 1 in 20 will have a gem, a pearl would be the most appropriate. In addition to the frond of life, clans have treasure type E, which gives a 5% to 30% chance of all the item types except platinum. Typical aquatic elves have an above-average intelligence of 13, and are neutrally aligned. Most aquatic elves are slightly built like regular elves. Their weight can be determined by their height, from the Rules Cyclopedia table for elves. For variation, 1/3 have an unmodified weight, 1/3 are underweight by 12 to 25 coins, and 1/3 are overweight by 12 to 25 coins. Aquatic elves typically live for 1,000 years, but can live to 1,100. This longevity makes them sought after by the other sea peoples as advisors, historians, and crafters. Like terrestrial elves, they probably are capable of starting their adventuring careers around age 20, and are considered venerable at around age 800. Underwater communication is a lot more reliant on body language. In addition to speaking their native Elvish, the aquarendi also know the Na trading language, which is the common tongue of the underwater sentients. They can also sing dolphin song, allowing communication with dolphins and whales within 500 feet. Possessing both gills and lungs, aquatic elves are amphibious, to a degree. As the price for the old elf of the sea saving them was to never live on land again, they prefer not to spend too long ashore. Out of water, their dexterity reduces by 2. After being out of salt water continuously for 24 hours, they start to dehydrate and feel ill. Each day after the first, the elf suffers a cumulative -2 penalty on all attack and saving throw rolls, and their constitution drops by 2. Possessing the endurance general skill allows a daily check to avoid that day's effect. The initial dehydration effects can be removed by immersion in salt water. To remove the effect of each additional day's dehydration, a corresponding amount of days must be spent immersed. Aquatic elves possess a concealment ability in reefs or weeds. At first level, they cannot be seen 95% of the time if they remain motionless. At higher levels, they have a chance of remaining concealed while moving through reefs or weeds at up to 75% of their normal speed. Young aquatic elves are taught ancient history and planar geography. Their education includes a detailed history of their local sea or ocean, and a general history of the sentient species of their sea and the surrounding lands. Planar geography covers the planes of the multiverse and how to travel between them. The elves are interested in the elemental plane of water and outer planes dominated by water, usually associated with the sphere of time. The long-lived aquatic elves have a greater range of spells than most spellcasters. In addition to common spells, some of which function differently underwater, they also have underwater spell variants shown in the table as blue, and may also have access to Alfheim elven spells shown in green. Instead of spellbooks and scrolls, they use slates and colorful pebbles to inscribe spells. Only 2 named aquarendi characters have appeared in published materials, both in PC3 The Sea Peoples, published in 1990. Sardrendil is the keeper of the sacred frond in Erandel, so she is at least 10th level. Valerai is a 10th level aquatic elf, recently imprisoned by a sea hag, after the foul creature took over and destroyed Valerai's small clan, and young Frond of Life, in their coral reef cavern holding, near an uninhabited small island, between Alfile and Karamikos. Aquatic elves, in general, are very easygoing and cheerful. However, they are upset by the destruction of natural beauty and unnecessary killing. They are favorably disposed to nixies, receiving a +1 bonus to reaction rolls. They are on friendly terms with dolphins and whales, to whom they can communicate. They dislike the slimy copru, with a -2 penalty on reaction rolls. They also dislike those who fish in their waters. Excluding evil creatures, their greatest distaste is for their mortal enemies, the sharkkin and their shark pets. Reaction rolls are at -5. This is due to sharkkin raiding their settlements and trying to take magical steel weapons. They are usually on friendly terms with land elves, but tend to avoid humans, whom they blame for the great rain of fire. The aquarendi on Alfile are on friendly terms with the Triton kingdom of Tiluareva. Some Na employ aquatic elves to go ashore to trade on their behalf, mainly with terrestrial elves. However, because the aquarendi have close ties to the Minrathad elves, some Na, who are in conflict with Minrathad, distrust them. Aquatic elven clans are led by a clan head and a frond keeper. Their relatives have honored status within the clan, comprise about 5% of the population. 25% of the clan is well off. They want for nothing and are respected by the clan. 54% of clan members are comfortable. 11% are struggling, as they hunt or farm in the least profitable areas. 5% are outlaws, most often due to breaking with tradition. They are treated with great suspicion. Aquatic elves can be player characters, as outlined in PC3, The Sea Peoples. They gain +1 to intelligence, and -1 to wisdom. They have 100% literacy with a minimum intelligence of 9. They prefer to wear armor when combat is anticipated. In addition to the layered shell armor that most wear, they can also don shell piece armor, which provides armor class 3 and consists of a conch shell helmet, giant clamshell breastplate and backshield, and razor shells to cover their limbs. If either type of non-magical shell armor is taken out of salt water, it becomes brittle, shattering if an opponent's modified hit roll scores either 20 or more, or is more than 5 above the minimum required to hit. Like other sea creatures, aquatic elves save versus fire-based attacks at -2, and fire damage inflicts an additional point per damage die. They do not have shamans, the Frond of Life and its keeper, handle some shaman-like tasks. Beyond 10th level, they require a specialist trainer in their field, fighting for attack ranks, or magic for additional levels. Naturally, aquatic elves suit an underwater campaign, whether that is in the sunlit sea, aquas, Twyla, the far-end ocean sea kingdoms, or another coastal waters setting with a warm current. Aquatic elves do have the ability to leave the water, so they could be part of a more conventional adventuring group, which would suit campaigns based in coastal realms like Minrathad, Thyatis, and Aquarendi. If an aquatic elf can find a way, magical or otherwise, to immerse themselves in water once per day, they may be able to adventure out of salt water on a long-term basis without dehydrating. If they have magical weapons and armor, these items will not be impacted by being in or out of salt water. They will just have to live with the -2 dexterity penalty for being out of the water. This concludes our look at the long-lived aquatic elves. Undersea elves who provide another playable character class option.